It's November 26th, 2024. I'm down at the very southern tip of Berlin. I'm walking towards the sun right now. It's 3:30 in the afternoon, and if I hold my fist out to the horizon, there's about half a fist left before it gets dark out. I'm walking through a park now, just turned off the road. It's called Freizeitpark Marienfelde, the free time park Marienfelde, which is what this part of the city's called. I'm down here because, because I wanted to talk to you. It's been quite a while since I published anything on this feed, and I just wanted to update you about what's going on with me and the show. And I also wanted to come down here because I bought a new pair of microphones that I think would be really good at capturing this strange part of the city where it just ends. Like, that's the thing about Berlin, is it just ends. Like, you can be in a cluster of like 20-story apartment buildings, and then there's just a wheat field on the other side. It's a really strange thing. I really like the word for border in German. It's Grenze. It just feels more like what a border is to me than a border. Grenze. Grenze. There's this really interesting pair of films that Tilda Swinton was in, and I personally love Tilda Swinton. One was made in 1988, and the other one was made sometime in the late 2000s. And the one in 88 is called Cycling the Frame. It's just Tilda Swinton on her bicycle, just riding her bike around the edge of the Berlin Wall and showing where that border is. And something that I think I didn't realize until kind of embarrassingly late in my life is just what exactly the Berlin Wall was. I mean, I knew it was a separation from East Germany and West Germany, but I think I didn't really understand the position of Berlin in the country of Germany. It's much further east than I ever imagined. It's solidly in East Germany. So that means that when the Berlin Wall separated West Berlin from East Berlin, West Berlin was an island, completely isolated. It was an island. The wall didn't just cut the city in half. It also wrapped around the back edge to separate West Berlin from other parts of East Germany. And that's where I'm walking to right now. I'm walking to not the part of the wall that was separating two halves of a city, but the part of the wall that separated the city of West Berlin from the countryside. So that first film, again, that was called Cycling the Frame. And then, I think it was the late 2000s, I think it was like 2010 or so, she made a second movie, which was called The Invisible Frame. And it's pretty much just a remake of the first one, but, 30 years later. So the main differences being that she's 30 years older, of course, but also that the wall doesn't exist anymore. She just rides that same path a second time.
One can really taste the brutality of when it was put up, because one sees that what it divided was just space, just land, just streets, and just people, and families, and communities, and a nation.
And you know the whole time that there's a border there, but now that border is invisible. Of course it isn't, though, because the city still just kind of ends right at the edge of the city limits. at least a dozen, a lot of places. So that's the direction I'm walking right now. So my plan is to go out to the border and see what's out there. Make some audio recordings. Test out this new microphone and explain to you a little bit about what I've been doing and what's going on with Here Be Monsters. It's turning to dusk here now. It's beautiful. So it's been a while since I put anything out on the feed, and I certainly haven't been sitting around in this time. A lot's changed. It's been about 2 years since I moved from Seattle to Berlin. I feel like a lot of life has happened. The last remaining grandparent of both me and my partner died. And I got engaged. I'm planning a wedding right now. I've been taking German courses, which is a very challenging thing. It's amazing how much a language can share with English and yet have, at times, totally indecipherable grammar. I've been working freelance audio editing jobs, and I've been making art. I really want to share some of these things with you. One of the biggest things I've been doing has been just making field recordings, and it's one of the things that can really make chaos feel approachable. I got a visa. That was a huge process. I got finally into the German healthcare system, which was also a process. I think when I first moved, the idea of trying to make new shows for this podcast felt just incomprehensibly difficult. Then a year passed, and then some more months passed, and over the summer, traveling around a little bit, I was just really got to do it. It's like an itch, It's like you get itchy. You just got to do something. And so I've just been fantasizing about thawing out this podcast feed and sharing some of the things that I've been thinking about and some of the people I've been talking to. I really miss making episodes. I'm working on 2 right now. The first is episode 159. I don't have a title for it yet. It's about someone that I met here who has a really kind of special relationship with death in how he works with people. So I'm working on that right now. It's about halfway done. And then episode 160, I think I might have a title for it. Don't hold me to this, but I think I have a title for it. I think I want to call it Universal Thwacking Theory. And this is kind of an expansive science fiction piece that I'm writing. And it's about trains, lions, and spaghetti, emptiness. I swear I'm not just listing a list of random things, but it's about fevers. That one's a bit of a doozy. And it's kind of a working theory for just how one can choose to see the world. So, Here Be Monsters, right? Podcast about the unknown. A name and subtitle I came up with back when I was 22 years old. I had a lot of bad opinions when I was 22 years old, but you know what? I'm pretty proud of that. The podcast about the unknown. I feel like there's a lot of unknowns back in my home in the US right now. There's a lot of unknowns here in Germany. Germany's been in a bit of turmoil lately, politically and economically. And I think there's only 2 ways that I know how to handle these feelings of the unknown. And one of those ways is to kind of shut down, try and hide from the world a bit, try to recuperate. And the other is to make stuff. So I want to do the second. I'm getting closer to the edge now. There's a little garden community here, these little tiny houses right on the edge of the city. This is a common thing in Germany. These little houses, maybe 20 feet wide by 20 feet wide, where people can come and have their kind of nature retreat in the city, if that makes sense. You're not allowed to live here, just allowed to use it as a garden house. But I remember from the map that when I reach the garden houses, that means I'm getting close. And I can hear the highway off in the distance in front of me. And I'm walking towards that. And I should be getting pretty close to the edge of the city now. So there's been plenty of other things happening too, but these are all things that I've covered in longer written posts over on the show's Patreon. And I know people kind of think of Patreon as like a fundraising tool, and it is that. However, I've also just been using it kind of as a blog or a newsletter lately to keep people informed of everything that's going on. So something that I definitely encourage you to do if you're interested in this show and interested in what's going on, I would definitely encourage you to follow the show on Patreon. And that's something you can do for free. And you'll just get emails or other notifications whenever there's new news about the show. Yeah, it's a nice place to be, I think. Of course, it's also extremely appreciated if you want to contribute $1, $2, $3 a month to help me continue to make this show. The money I do make, I put into things like the lawyer fees that I just recently had for renewing the show's trademark, upkeep on the website. I also use that money for travel when I need to go somewhere to interview someone. But overall, the show's overhead is quite low, and that's something I'm very thankful for. And so the extra money I use towards my rent and my health insurance and just things like that. So if that's something you want to support, then it's patreon.com/HBM podcast. And you can see instructions there, both on how to contribute a little bit of money each month and also on how to sign up for free, which truly it does help. Like to have more people there, more eyes, more people when I have questions that I want help with. So that's patreon.com/HBM podcast. Okay, I've just exited the garden colony, which means that I'm very close to the edge now. Oh man, mud's getting muddier. Suddenly, the fields have become more open. Oh, I see a line of trees up here. I think that might be it. It looks like there's a green pasture out there. The sun is now set, and it's lighting up the clouds, you know, that pinkish, orangish, bluish color. It's truly a beautiful night tonight. So, I'm standing just over the border in Brandenburg, and the grass that I just kind of tramped through is the place where the wall used to be. And I'm now standing on the edge of a field. Might be kale, might be cabbage, might be kohlrabi or something like that. There's a freeway to my right, and behind me there's a bike path. The same bike path that I believe Tilda Swinton was riding on in the second of those two movies, which I'll link in the show description. Thanks for coming with me as I walk to the edge of the city I live in now. I apologize for disappearing for so long. It's not how I want to do this show. I want to reassure you that this is a project that I do view as a lifelong project. this isn't going to be a dead feed, and it's not subject to the whims of some, commissioning agent or something like that. And if you like the things that I put on this feed, stay subscribed. I'll try and reward you for that however I can. I'm going to go now, and I think I'll do the credits here. It's not really credits. My name is Jeff Emptman. This is Here Be Monsters. I've been making this show for 10 to 12 years, depending on how you count it, with a lot of help from a lot of people. And I'm very grateful for you coming with me on this whole trip. The show's website is hbmpodcast.com, and you can listen to the show on any podcasting app that you please, with the one exception being Spotify. But anywhere else, you should be able to find the show. Subscribe, stay subscribed, tell people about it. Please sign up to follow the show's updates via patreon.com/hbmpodcast. I really appreciate all of your support. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch microphones now, and then I'm also going to just fade the show out, playing you some of the other field recordings that I've made in the last 2 years, and see if you like that. So yeah, thanks for listening, and more episodes soon. You're the sweetest little goat.
Luister.